Love it or hate it, rules dictate how you fight. Hey everybody, this is Vincent Zeng, the Wandering Warrior. Now today I wanted to make a video about Shuai Jiao rules, both past and present. This was inspired by a video that was made recently by Ramsey Dewey, where he showcases modern Shuai Jiao jackets, as well as the rule set, and him and his MMA students are working through those and feeling out how the rules and the jacket basically affect how you grapple. And it was really enlightening to get his outside perspective, since I come from a background of traditional martial arts. My wrestling background is Shuai Jiao. So, getting the perspective of somebody who doesn't come from that world and stepping into it was quite interesting. That said, I wanted to make a video giving the perspective from the inside. Now, make no mistake, although wrestling is wrestling, striking is striking, the human body is what it is, different factors can affect how you perform, whether that's cultural or regional style or flavor, whether that's the accessories or equipment, whether that's simply the rule set, right? And we know this. Striking is striking, but boxing looks a certain way. Wrestling is wrestling, but Greco-Roman looks a certain way versus judo. It's all the human body, it's all wrestling. Yeah, but the rules make a difference. So when we look back on this, where did this even come from? Now, we know from previous videos that I've made, that other very knowledgeable folks have made, that the Shuai Jiao that we are looking at today, the jacketed wrestling with the short sleeves, this comes from primarily the Qing dynasty and its connection with the Mongols. And their connection with the Mongols runs deep. One of those connection points is, of course, wrestling. And they influence one another mutually. The Manchus inherited a lot of the Mongol wrestling, and the Mongols inherited a lot of Qing era influences themselves. So we have here a leather jaduk. A jaduk is the wrestling jacket for Mongolian wrestling, Mongol boh. And this is the leather style jaduk that is used in what is now called Inner Mongolia, or Ober Mongol, Southern Mongolia in the Mongol tongue. This is all folded up right now, but if we undo it, you'll see that there is a rope that is holding the belt area, and we have the jacket. All leather. This is considered more of a training jacket, and I got mine through Bokhenayin, which you can check out in the link below. Wonderful stuff, really cool, and I really want to get into that style of wrestling. But my main point is that Jangat Mongol Boh, the style of Mongol Boh where the champions wear the necklace of ribbons, the Janga, is very closely related to today's Shuai Jiao, and its rules are identical to the original rules of Shuai Jiao, or you could say vice versa. And the rules were as such, and still are today for the Mongols: no time limit, no age limit, no weight classes. The first to fall loses, the first to make them fall wins. And in order to win, you need to make them touch the ground with anything other than the soles of their boots. And same for you. Your hand, knee, none of that can touch the ground in the effort of effecting a throw. Now, you can throw and then land on top of them and pin them down, but you cannot, say, take a knee as you shoot in for the legs. And on that note, you are not allowed to grab legs. So that requires a lot of attributes. You can't use some of these explosive shooting movements to take people down. You need a very technical game for moving people and creating momentum and tripping them, throwing them, etc. You need to be prepared to go against anyone of any body type, experience, level of athleticism, age, and you need to bring your game to that. You need to be hyper adaptable. You need to be extremely gritty and enduring. And I don't mean just physically, I mean mentally, because this game can be 5 seconds or it can be 50 minutes. You don't know. It's brutal. And this jacket itself is very demanding in terms of your finger strength, your understanding of it, your understanding of the grip game. And so you can imagine how Mongolian wrestling that produces highly skilled wrestlers who are extremely adaptable, gritty, durable, and able to go the distance, able to wrestle however long it takes. They make it happen. And these are some of the attributes that the Mongols wanted out of their men as well as their fighters, their soldiers, right? They wanted people who can keep up with that type of warfare mentality. Now the Manchus, they inherited this rule set and they continued with it, but later things started to change, and by the time we're hitting the 1900s, leg grabs are now allowed. The jacket is obviously closer to the jacket that we're familiar with today. It's cloth. It's still kind of similar to the jaduk, but not quite the same cut. And not only are you allowed to grab the legs, you are also allowed to take a kneeling inside sickle called a dehe, a hook, or dehe in Mandarin. And a time limit was introduced, as well as the fact that you win by having 2 out of 3 of the throws. So the first of 2 essentially wins. So what happens when your jacket has more give? You are allowed to get, thrown once essentially, and you have a time limit. You know, it's clear to me that this is going to incentivize you for the 4 or 5 minute duration to fight a lot more aggressively, to try to quote unquote be more in a rush to get the guy down. You do have one fall that you can afford, so you have a second chance. The cloth jacket also has a lot more give, so you're going to create a lot of dynamic movement, wheeling, twisting, turning, tearing, to create openings and to get that guy down. You get him down twice, you're out of there, you're the winner, right? That was the old rules after sort of like the so-called Mongol rules, but today it has changed yet again, and it's 2 2-minute rounds with a rest in between, and there are points. That's right, 3, 2, 1. 1 point is when you get somebody to touch their hand, arm, knee on the ground. It's like a quick snap down, boom, that's it. Or maybe push them out of the ring, 1. 2 is when you get them to fall to their side or to their hip. Maybe you go down with them and pin them. It's not a quote unquote clean throw, and they didn't do a full rotation in the air, but you topple them down, you get the throw. That's a 2. Now a 3, and clearly if it's a 3-pointer, this is what you're meant to strive for. This is when the opponent is basically thrown, right? The dude does a full body rotation, vertical, horizontal, and makes full body contact with the mat, ideally with you still standing. So that's a 3-point throw right there. This is the ideal. Prioritizing your move set. They're incentivizing you to use different moves at different times. You're incentivized to, say, get that big 3-pointer right away, or maybe get a 3-pointer, be more defensive, take them down with simple 1 or 2s and not risk a 3 later on. If you're falling behind, you're really incentivized to get those 3-pointers if you can. This leads to, yet again, a different style of play. Now, the so-called high amplitude, beautiful throws are being rewarded more than the also highly effective, but maybe less hard-hitting, but very practical, smaller movements like snapping down, quick little pick to the ankle, little trips, which work extremely well, but now aren't really rewarded. The rules will dictate what you are rewarded to do or not do. And modern Shuai Jiao is the way it is because of the rules. Now it can make you an extremely good wrestler because of the jacket in both jacket and non-jacketed formats, as well as providing you really good stand-up skills so that you don't need to take a knee or go to the ground in order to see that throw happen. There are downsides. You're not working those particular skills. You're not working pinning as a science. You're not working on grappling attacks such as chokes and locks because that's not part of this particular wrestling format. So there you have it. The rules evolved over the centuries and changed, and it's resulted in what we now think of as Shuai Jiao, actually kind of being a bit distinct actually from Jangat Mongol Boh or Halch Mongol Boh or any of the other Mongolian styles. It's kind of its own related, but flavor-wise and rules-wise, distinct wrestling sport. And so I encourage you guys, whenever you're training, whether you're training Shuai Jiao, Judo, Kung Fu, whatever, when you're training, play around with what's allowed and what's not allowed. Not to the point of being unsafe, but so that you can find how different constraints will change the game for you. Let's say you're a bouncer. Spar somebody without hitting them. Just try it, right? Let's say you are a BJJ practitioner. You guys are allowed to ground and pound. Changes things, doesn't it? Right? And let's say you are a judoka and now suddenly you adopt Shuai Jiao rules. You can't be taking that knee or going to your knees to make that Ippon Seonagi work or whatever, right? Try it out and see how it affects you. Any case, that was just a brief look at what the rules of Buku or Shuai Jiao have done to its evolution, where it's at today, and I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for joining me on my journey. I salute yours. Peace.